שיטת הקסם, פול.
All of them agreed to build a state is an innovation.
We welcome Vice President Biden. Prime Minister, please.
I very much appreciate the efforts of President Obama and the American government to lead the international community to place tough sanctions on Iran. The stronger those sanctions are, the more likely it will be that the Iranian regime will have to choose between advancing its nuclear program and advancing the future of its own permanence.
Progress occurs in the Middle East when everyone knows there's simply no space between the United States and Israel. There is no space between the United States and Israel when it comes to Israel's security. And for that reason, and many others, addressing Iran's nuclear program has been one of our administration's priorities. We're determined to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, and we're working with many countries around the world to convince Tehran to meet its international obligations and cease and desist. Thank you very much. Mr. Prime Minister, it's a pleasure to be back. It's been too long. I'm very pleased that you and the Palestinian leadership have agreed to launch indirect talks. We hope that these talks will lead, and they must lead, eventually to negotiations or direct discussions between the parties. The goal is obviously to resolve the final status issues and to achieve a two-state solution with Israel and Palestine living side by side.
Which I recognize in you, Joe. We planted a tree.
We agreed that Mr. Mitchell will come back on the 16th to continue the deliberations and discussions on the structure, concept, the sequencing, the framing of these negotiations. So I really cannot understand how can an American official say the negotiations began? Because they did not. And it was agreed that Mr. Mitchell will come back. Of course, we said we give him a yes answer. We heard that they give him a yes answer to his proximity talks. But yet we have to agree on the structure, the mechanisms, the sequencing, the framing, the timelines, and all these issues, which hasn't been agreed yet. That's why he's coming back on the 16th in order to finalize these issues. So, with all transparency, the proximity talks did not begin yet.
يس 12 2:30 ان شاء الله. باي باي.